Time for our Monday installment of our Science Academy, and meteorologist Kyle Dickens teams up with reporter Kyle Bales to cook up a weather experiment. Here's what they came up with to help us understand how storms are formed.
All right, welcome into the second edition of the Science Academy. I'm meteorologist Kyle Dickens.
And I'm Kyle Bales. And Kyle, last week we tried something that you could, with ingredients you can use from home. Didn't work out the best, but we're back this week with a new experiment to try.
And we want to be fully full up front here. If the experiments don't work, we're airing that. that's what's going to happen. We're going to do something a little bit weather related, especially now that we're getting into the time of year where you can get severe weather this time of year. Actually, kind of sometimes is the second season, as we call it, and has a lot to do with the much cooler air that's moving in and some warm air to the south. So you just get a little bit of that warm air to interact with some cold air, and boom, you got some storms. So we're going to be talking about hot air and cold air. So
yes, so what we have is that you can have at home. We have the food coloring. We have 4 mason jars, and 2 of them represented in red food coloring is going to represent the hot water. And just be careful when you do put hot water in it, because it can burn your hand. I know Mr. Dickens here had experience with that.
Just if you're going to use one of the machines like we've got here, it's hot water, yeah. So you don't need steaming water to do this.
Use caution. Parental supervision is required for this. And then in the blue, of course, is going to be cold water, and what we're hoping to do is to represent what hot water does mixed with cold water.
Yeah, so when we get thunderstorms, right, it's because it's usually warm at the surface. Well, we get some moisture aloft and get some cold air aloft. What happens is those clouds expand. That's because the warm air at the surface is what we call buoyant, or wants to rise, and that's how you get thunderstorms to form, with that rising motion. So the same thing happens here with water. If we do cold water on top of hot water, the same reaction is going to happen. So that is what we're going to show here today. So we've got 2 of each, because just in case one doesn't work, we're going to move on to a second one. We're going to take the cold air. This is going to represent our cold front, correct?
Yeah.
We'll get this off here, and this warm air is the warm air at the surface. That is our surface right there.
So you can think about a hot and humid day when you're walking around town,
right.
Walking to school, walking to work. This is representing that hot and humid air mass. But meanwhile, what you don't notice at the ground, but that meteorologists can track, is cold air coming in atop of that.
We're going to try this without making a huge mess.
Try.
Can't make any guarantees. I apologize in advance to Morgan Otier that we might turn her beautiful set in here some different colors. So, all right, how do we do this, Kyle? Am I doing this right?
Yep, we're going to hold that there.
Okay.
And we're going to put that on top. I'll help you hold it so that you can then pull that out.
Okay.
So you'll pull this part out.
Okay. So we're going to get centered up here, and we're making a little bit of a mess. So. All right, so what you're going to notice here is once we pull that card away, the warm air is going to rise, okay? So let's do that. Oh. And I think all we did was really, this one didn't work out too well. Let's stop it, because we're going to make a huge mess here. So this one, this is going to probably go in the fail category, because I think we have made a huge mess here. So that one didn't work out too well. This is why we did an extra one, because I was a little concerned that this might happen. So we're going to clean up our mess here. Okay, so we're going to flip it. All right, so far so good. Oh, maybe. All right. Okay. Now we just got to place it on top, like so. Okay. Now this is working out pretty good. Now, so what we've got here is we got that warm air at the surface that is it's supposed to rise up into the cooler air, and that's how, imagine a cloud here in this jar. It would rise with that rising motion, and that's how you get thunderstorms to form. So, Mr. Bales, go ahead and try to take these these index cards out here. Okay, and see what happened here is you can see the top, look at that, turning black. And what's happening here is the colors have mixed, so that cold air and that warm air has mixed.
Now you can flip it around.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to have the I don't think it's going to be anything we're going to be flipping around here, because I think it's just going to make a huge mess like I just did. So you might want to keep it up there, but that's why we had the bowl under there. So the water's turned purple now.
And that's typically after it starts to feel calmer and cooler and drier as the air has mixed. That's the whole point of the atmosphere. It's all trying to be at an equilibrium equal, so that when you get the hot air, cold air, it tries to mix it so it becomes mixed out.
Absolutely. Well, that is it for this episode of the Science Academy. Thanks for sticking around for our mess that we made here today, and hopefully you don't have as big of a mess at home when you do this experiment. But if you do the experiment, definitely give us a shout on social media, send us an email, and let us know how it went for you. And if you've got any ideas for us, we'd love to hear them. Send us your inquiries or your ideas at news@kwqc.com.